nobody ever make it out alive.
Let's get into this reaction. I think we stopped on the third one, so maybe we can get through 2 more before my dog slides on me. Let's see. Let's get it, baby.
I was 11 when this happened. Ariel, my older sister, was 14, and Belle, my younger sister, was 8. My dad was a freelance programmer when I was younger. He made great money on his jobs, but because he was so heavily in debt, at least 500 plus, and my mom was not the most gifted person on balancing a budget, we never had much free money available. This meant that we went on a vacation once every few years, and usually that was to a relative's house. My dad had just finished a long project for a big client, and we were celebrating the occasion with a new movie. Final Destination, because my dad loved watching scary stuff and scaring the daylights out of my sisters and me.
Final Destination.
In the middle of the movie when the phone
Let me
rang.
pause it. Final Destination is a little wild for an 8-year-old. I ain't gonna lie. That's a lot of gore and stuff. That's wild, but
He went to get it and came back to grab Mom while we kept watching the movie. Belle took the opportunity to pause the film and take Duchess, our dog, captive because she was scared. They came back about 10 minutes later and announced that we were going to be spending the weekend in a cabin. We didn't know what to make of that, but apparently the client he had been helping owned a nice cabin by a lake in the mountains and had offered to let us lodge there this weekend for a considerably reduced price.
that's your first mistake,
Thursday,
Pops.
So Mom went into a panic frenzy of packing, so we didn't get to see the rest of the movie that night. After school the next day, we packed up the family van and headed to the mountains. It was a 2.5-hour drive, so it was late by the time we got there. We unloaded the van and we went exploring in the cabin. It was a ranch-style cabin with a little nook thing you could climb up to that was about head height.
That's cold. That's
It was about 3
cold.
feet tall and probably meant for storage, but it was an excellent place for the 3 of us to hang in and play games.
I don't look like it's meant for storage. It got a mattress and pillows right there. What you mean it's meant for storage?
There were a few dozen board games up there, so we started playing once we decided on the rooms. Mom and Dad got the largest one, and
Are they
Ariel
playing
found
Scrabble?
the smaller one with a twin bed, so Belle and I got the last room, which had a queen-size bed we could share.
Okay.
We had a window on the right side of the bed without a curtain, and a lamp on the left side of the bed. It was the only light source in the room, and there was a closet opposite the bed.
All
It
right.
was locked, and we couldn't get in it for some reason. I never did find out what was in there. We went to bed at around 11 o'clock.
Why one of y'all
Belle couldn't
closets
get
locked?
in her sleep, so
That don't make
I
much
slept
sense,
by the
but
lamp in case she ended up knocking it over. I remember lying down, and I must have instantly fallen asleep because the next thing I knew, Belle was gripping my arm and trying to burrow under me. She was squeaking something in fright, and I couldn't understand what was happening. I sat up and looked towards her and saw
Speak!
something pale and human-shaped moving away from the window.
Pale and human
My
shape.
sleepy brain took several moments to process that. Then I was shooting out of bed and dragging Belle with me. We rushed to our parents, who told us we were imagining things.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Did they? Okay, maybe. I don't mean to play into the race thing, but maybe these people ain't actually black or something. Because I know anybody that I know, like in my circle that's black, oh, we out of there. They talking about, oh, you just imagining things. Was you in there? Was you in there? That makes no sense. Like I said, I never knew any family around around where I live that want to sit up here talking about some, oh, let's go camping. Let's go to the cabin. What? This ain't black people territory, man. It's not. And then they so cocky talking about, oh, you imagining stuff. You ain't even go check it out. Y'all lazy, man. Trash parental guidance. Oh my goodness, garbage. Let's go though. Let's finish reacting.
Mom told us to go back to bed, and if we saw anything else, to let them know. I, much to my current annoyance, agreed with them and went back in the room with Belle. We switched positions because she refused to go back to bed by the window. I told her a story to get her to sleep, and I promptly
You went
knocked
arm's
myself
length
out
just
after
like
her.
me. If he
Didn't wake
snatched
up
me
until
up, you
morning.
getting snatched too.
The next day, we went exploring around the lake for about an hour before Dad decided we spend the day in the town. They had a lot of small shops, and my parents went to every one of them. We ate lunch and dinner in the town, and finally, we went back to the cabin. Ariel made a joke about something as we neared the cabin, and I remember everybody laughing before my dad suddenly held up his hand to make everyone stop. He took another step towards the cabin and then pushed the door open with a single finger. I thought it was strange that the door wasn't latched, but I didn't put the obvious together right away. Dad? Ariel shuffled nearer to Belle and me, but my dad gave his head a shake to let her know she needed to be quiet. He went into the cabin and disappeared inside for a minute or two while we stood on the porch. Mom called out his name and he called back that we could come inside. We did, and we found him standing in the middle of the living room with a frown. He locked the door once we were all inside and took Mom to the bedroom for a quick chat. Ariel, having caught on to what was happening, opted to distract Belle and me by suggesting another round of the board game that we had been playing the night before.
Oh, hold on. That was in their house that happened? I'm sorry. Maybe I was talking. So did they leave somewhere and then they came back and then their door was unlocked? Let me rewind that and then I'll go right back to it. Let me see.
Ariel made... We had a lot of small shops and my parents went to every one of them. We ate lunch and dinner in the town, and finally we went back to the cabin. Ariel made a joke about something as we neared the cabin, and I remember everybody laughing before my dad suddenly held up his hand to make everyone stop.
Oh my gosh. So you just good. They suck. They suck. We're not staying here no more. This man has too much to risk to lose, bro. He got 3 daughters, 3 little girls, and his wife with him. And he's like, oh, since no one's here, it's time to just go. I mean, it's time to just go back in and act like business as casual, business as usual. Like, what are you doing? He's selling. He's selling. He don't care about his family. He really don't. And I know I said that about the last parents, but it's signs that you have to notice. Bro, first off, oh, you was imagining things. And he ain't going there. Neither of them went in there. That's what he told his 2 little girls when they seen something. You imagining things. And now when they go out to go have lunch in a family day out on town, they come back and the door is busted in. Not busted in, but it's open. And you just like, oh, ain't nothing. Ain't come back in, guys. Are you stupid? Or do you not care about your family? It's one of the two. And I think it's the last. I think it's the last thing. It has to be. Because nobody's that stupid. Stop it, bro.
Out his name, and he called back that we could come inside.
Idiot.
We did.
Oh, yeah.
We found him standing in the middle of the living room with a frown. He locked
Look at
the
this
door
clown.
once we were all inside and took Mom to the bedroom for
Why he got a perm too? Goofy. You perm your hair for?
a quick chat. Ariel, having caught on to what was happening, opted to distract Belle and me by suggesting another round of the board game that we had been playing the night before.
Oh my gosh.
We hadn't been playing for more than 5 minutes when Mom and Dad came back. Mom went about cleaning the dishes from breakfast while Dad joined our game. We played for a few hours and Dad told us we needed to go to bed. It was only 9 at that point, which made Ariel kind of mad. She was usually allowed to stay up until 10:30 on school nights and even later on weekends and vacation. Belle and I went on to bed while they argued. We climbed back into the same spots we slept in, with Belle by the window and me by the lamp. I read to her for a bit before we drifted off. I woke up to Dad rushing in our room. He scooped Belle out of the bed and grabbed my hand. He dragged me out of the room and into the hall, where I saw Ariel getting similar treatment by my mom. I became aware of a high-pitched whine in the living room, and I saw our dog sitting by the back door. She was bristled and seemed anxious. Dad didn't put Belle down and didn't let go of my hand. They rushed out of the house and into the van. Dad went back to get our dog, and then he burned rubber getting out of the cabin. He drove all the way back home without talking once. It took a half hour for Duchess to finally calm down. He told Ariel what happened the next day, but Belle and I didn't
what
find
happened?
out until years later. He'd woken up that night to what sounded like moaning outside the window in his room. He jumped up and looked to see what was going on, and he had found that the front door was unlocked. Stuff in the kitchen had been moved, and Duchess started to growl at the back door, which was ajar. He locked it and got us out of the house. He went back the next day to get our luggage and found several pairs of footprints outside Belle's and my window.
Yeah, idiot. That's it. That's the whole story. That's how it ends.
This is a
That's how it ended. Moron. What did I tell you, bro? What made him think, oh, it's nothing, you're imagining things? Oh my God. It's just by the grace of God that his family ain't get snatched up. It's just by the grace of God. What was the moaning sound that he was it Duchess? That dog saved their life. Because the parents wasn't going to, obviously. What type of behavior is that? You lock your door. You lock your door when you leave. Let me make sure my mic ain't mute. You lock your door when you leave, right? You come back and the door is unlocked and ajar. So you go back in and you check just the living room, and then you're like, oh yeah, guys, come back in. And then you're all of a sudden surprised when someone can get back in like how they did before. You ain't do nothing. You ain't call nobody that was over the cabin. You ain't call somebody to fix your locks or change the locks or anything. You just, like I said, business as usual. Back to casual activities, huh? This don't make sense, bro. These people do not be making sense with what they be doing, bro. For real. Make it make sense. Play the
true story.
I'm sorry. I'm hot. I'm hot. I'm sorry, y'all. And I got hit with an ad.
Bruh. This is a true story. Every time I tell it, it pulls the eyes of everyone in the room.
Okay.
So in the summer of 2020, my friends Alex and Violet and I decided to go on a mountain vacation. COVID cabin fever had hit us hard, and we were desperate to get out. We settled on a mountainous estate and planned to camp and hike at several different locations. For one night, we thought it would be fun to book a cabin in the woods. Violet's parents had rented a fire tower once and loved it, but a cabin beside a fire tower was all we could find. It was cheap, clean, and secluded. Excited to have a night where we could be as obnoxious as we wanted, we booked it.
Okay.
In the weeks leading up to the trip, we decided it would be a great idea to drop acid at the cabin. Violet brought an entire sheet in preparation for our arrival, and it was tucked in her bag as we pulled out of the driveway to make our way to the cabin. I remember the knot in the pit of my stomach, like this aching feeling that gnawed at me. I told Alex and Violet that there was no way we could drop acid this night.
What does that
Violet
even mean?
was pretty angry. We turned around and got into a massive argument, but I stood my ground. I just knew that we had no business tripping that night. Finally, the fireworks settled and we were off.
She said stripping?
Roughly 30 minutes away.
What is going on?
It sat atop a mountain. We held our breath as we rounded the busted road that spiraled towards the top.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way somebody.
Just a long winding road.
Who is driving on that? Look at that. Bro, especially that end. Look. That end right there. Who is driving on that? Bro, one wrong move. Who is driving on that road? I don't know, bro.
There were no pull-offs, no other campsites. Just a long winding road that led us to the cabin at the peak. We settled in and started a fire to keep warm.
Okay.
As dusk gave way to night, we heard the unmistakable noise of an engine on the road. Then we saw the flash of headlights. A side-by-side with 3 kids arrived and our nerves settled. They smiled, gave us a wave, and climbed the fire tower and left. We had heard previously that there may be occasional visitors to the fire tower, but they were the only ones who'd come by. We doused the fire and moved inside. Eated some hot dogs until they were lukewarm, ate them fast, and we sat in silence. You don't know how quiet it is until you're in the middle of nowhere. You can hear every rustle of the leaves.
Ain't no way.
The wind through their branches.
Why are we here?
White noise, living in the city, because there's always the hum of an air conditioner or the dim roar of traffic to focus on. But here, the closest thing to white noise was the sound of your own breathing. We jumped at every noise, too frightened to speak to one another, and finally I had enough. I cracked a few wine coolers, passed them to Alex and Violet, then I slapped a board game down on the table between our bunk beds.
How is this fun? A sincere question. How is this fun? You scared out of your mind every second? And you know something can be out there. It's not like this is a safe place for some reason. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like police is surrounded. Or somebody to protect you is here. So how is this fun? And you scared? I don't get it. I just don't get it, bro. I don't.
It didn't take long for us to loosen up, and we were laughing, finally having the fun time that we'd envisioned. Much soberer than we thought, but enough that we were able to ignore the rumble of the woods. Later, we'd recall hearing noises in the background, the snap of a twig, or the dim rumble of an engine. None of us really wanted to rupture the air of the nonchalance between us, so we ignored it.
Oh
human
my
hand reached up to the
gosh.
window between us and slapped it like 3 times. We were all screaming in an instant, and Alex called 911, put them on speakerphone, and handed his cell to me. He grabbed pokers from the fireplace and passed them around.
Idiotic
Violet
activity.
started calling family members and
Bot
saying her last goodbyes.
activity.
I
She
held my
calling
breath.
family members and saying last goodbye. She has no hope of surviving this. Why did y'all come here? Y'all are some bots for this, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Straight bots. Are you serious? What'd y'all come here for? If y'all are this sorry.
And listened for any more noise. Whoever this was, or whatever this was, would have heard us call 911, and now they were being careful to make a silent retreat. Dispatch arrived about 20 minutes later, which was a lucky
Bro,
thing
who was
for a
that?
1 a.m.
Blanca at the window?
Would have heard us call 911.
Merch, that don't look like Blanca's shadow or something. Blanca from Street Fighter. Who is this?
And now they were being careful to make a silent retreat. Dispatch arrived about 20 minutes later, which was a lucky thing for a 1 a.m. emergency call, and had their dogs calm the mountain.
That
Nothing,
boy
though.
ugly.
They suggested it may have been a bear, but I could tell from their faces that they didn't believe that for a second.
Okay, y'all leaving?
We barely cooked those hot dogs, and why would a bear smack the window by a couple of screaming kids, rather than the
Maybe
one
it was
closest to
Yogi.
the pan that we used to
Maybe it
cook?
was Yogi.
And also,
Watch
why
out,
would a
watch
bear
out,
knock on the
chat.
window like a human? Why, when we scream,
They got bots in my in my chat, bro. Move. I don't want cheap viewers, okay? Leave me alone.
did the bear make a stealthy retreat? They had no answers, but they had one anecdote. As
Go
they
home.
said to us, they come across a car at the base of the mountain, but that was the only sign of life that they had seen.
Okay.
I remember my blood ran cold, but Violet and Alex were too frazzled to absorb the weight of what they had said, and dizzied by a new horror. Violet's car, thoroughly dusted by our drive up the mountain, was covered in handprints.
Okay.
Handprints that didn't match ours.
This makes
Places
sense.
that we had in it.
This makes
We
sense.
grabbed all of our stuff by the armful and threw it inside.
Thank
eager
you.
to remove every part of ourselves from this mountain. We followed the police, and we were grateful for every pothole that found us further and further from the wretched cabin. I couldn't sleep. The thought of that car on the road rang in my head. Remember, there was nothing else on that mountain. It was a narrow road to the top. No pull-offs, no other campsites.
Mm-hmm.
They
So it
left
was
a
someone
fire
up there.
tower. Maybe a visitor decided
Blanca
to skip
lived
us
up
during
there.
a late night excursion.
Nah, Blanca just lived up
The
there.
kids from earlier, we had seen their headlights. Whoever did this had stopped their vehicle further down the road and hiked the rest of the way, because they didn't want to be spotted. They wanted silence and secrecy. Whoever this was hadn't been looking for a cheap scare, because they had planned this. Don't think I'll ever know what the person on the mountain wanted from me, and I don't know if it was a practical joke or the beginning of a night terror. I'm grateful for Alex's quick wit in calling 911. I wonder if our visitor knew we had service, because it's certainly been a welcome surprise to us.
Oh my gosh. At least they had sense though. At least they had sense. I'll give that to them. They was smart. At least they was smart. They was, bro. They called 911. They got up out of there. Unlike that stupid dad that waited until something almost popped off until he came back. Now, if they was dumb, they would have called the police, and the police would have told them, oh, yeah, it was probably just a bear, and they would have just went back in. Oh, okay, it was a bear. Although they seen the officer's face, like, oh, y'all stay here, y'all gonna get clapped, but Hey, I ain't gonna tell you. Why ain't the officer tell them to leave? He was trying to get them clapped. I don't know. I just don't trust anybody that advises poorly, that gives poor advice, that shouldn't be given poor advice. That was poor advice from that on that officer's part.
A couple years ago, my friend.
Last
Kate
one,
had
y'all.
asked
Last one. Come on now. Let's get it. Let's get it. Make sure to like and subscribe, YouTube. Yes, sir.
me to go with her to a party. This party was being thrown by her friend Susan. So Kate had gone to a Catholic school with her in elementary and middle school, but during high school, Kate ended up going to a public school where she met me, while Susan went
Why
to a
her
Catholic
tongue
high
hanging
school.
out like that?
The two had grown apart somewhat and hung out with different people, which is why Kate invited me along. It was Susan's birthday, and apparently Susan's parents had decided to rent out a cabin for her. They did this for the previous year, and unbeknownst to them, she had decided to throw a party. The party had been a hit last time, so
am I
she was
tweaking,
planning on
or
doing it again. Kate and I drove to the cabin together, and it was.
I'm gonna need somebody else to talk, cause maybe that's just his animation style. Cause Shorty tongue while she talking like this, like these, bro. Like she talking like this, bro. Like what is going on? Is she good? That had me just spitting everywhere. That's how she was talking though.
Pretty isolated. Aside from the woods behind it, there wasn't anything around.
Okay.
I couldn't even see the other cabins, but I imagine they would probably be empty because it was wintertime. At first I was a little apprehensive because I wasn't going to know anyone at the party, but I figured after a few drinks that wouldn't really bother me anymore. Also, if you watch scary movies, you know that having a party in a cabin in the woods is a horror movie cliche. I was very aware of that. Kate and I had even been joking about how attending this party sounded like a prelude to a horror film. As if that wasn't enough, this was a Catholic schoolgirl party. We arrive at the cabin and it is pitch black.
Oh yeah, it's up. It's up.
We needed to use our phones just to find our way. We go inside and everything seems fine, and the birthday girl is having a great time. And there was a good amount of people. The odd thing is that there seems to be a strange sort of divide at the party.
Who are they? They look like Streets of Rage extras or something. Bro, look at them. Where did you get these people from that we're partying with?
Kate and I were completely unaware of what was happening.
Oh, heck no.
I did happen to know this guy, though, who had the name of the city we lived in tattooed in a messy scrawl across his neck.
Yuck.
Kate and I had been silently laughing about it, but we were also a little worried because we wondered if that meant he was in a gang or something. Anyways, I don't remember why, but the main group of the party wanted these people to leave. I think it had to do with them drinking a lot, despite not having brought any alcohol of their own. So in order to get these people to go, the main group said that a ranger or whoever was coming to stop by here, that there was only supposed to be like 2 cars by the cabin.
They gonna crash out. They look like the type to crash out.
Rumor was that one of the guys in the group was on probation and couldn't afford to get in trouble, so they left. The plan was a success.
Oh, okay.
So we thought. Just as
Yuck, bro.
There were about 4 or 5 guys and 1 girl. The girl comes back in and says, "I just want to tell the birthday girl happy birthday," in a really loud voice, drawing everyone's attention. Everyone was staring at her in confusion. Like, why was she announcing this so awkwardly?
Was she about to bust at her or something?
Later, you hear a window in one of the back rooms being busted open.
Ooh.
This continues on, and more windows are being broken.
What is going on?
Shouting and screaming.
Does she have
I'm just sitting there in
superpowers?
confusion. Kate and I had been at this party for all of 15 minutes before all hell broke loose. And the girl who invited the group of hoodlums is now saying that she knows at least one of them has a gun.
She talking about
I don't know
hoodlums.
if my mind wasn't processing all of this correctly or what, but I'm just sitting there thinking, well, this is happening. The majority of us remained.
I ain't like that word, bro. How you know they from the hood? How you know they from the hood? Don't act like people from the just from the hood acts like that. Stop it, bro. You better cut that out. I ain't like that word you used. 9 times out of 10, they could have been from the hood. But it is that 1 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? That they was from the suburbs or something. Like, stop playing, bro. I ain't like that. I ain't like that at all. But we gonna keep it going.
In the
Come on.
cabin, a couple of people went outside to see if the group was still there, and after a little bit of time had passed, people began to leave. There was still some fear that those guys might be out there waiting, but a lot of people just wanted to get out. I remember 3 girls who had been planning on staying the night had gathered all their stuff up with their arms full and began heading out the door. As soon as all 3 walk out, we hear screaming coming from the woods, and all 3 girls immediately turn around and walk right back in.
Right.
In
Hit that
retrospect, it was kind of funny.
about face.
One of the girls proceeds to start crying though. Luckily, the scream had only been that of a new girl arriving at the party. She had seen her friend outside and had screamed in excitement.
Bro,
Kate and I had stayed
stop
at the
doing all
cabin
that
for a couple more
screaming,
hours.
scaring people.
We really didn't want to leave Susan alone, and the majority of people had left at this point. Aside from us, there were only a couple of people left in the cabin.
Why ain't y'all leave with everybody? This not making sense again. I'm not understanding how things went down during the it got confusing after the girl turned around and used her superpowers or whatever, and she started busting out all the windows somehow. I don't even get who did that. I thought it was gonna be explained. They ain't explain it though. All they said, she said, "Oh, I hope I just want to wish the birthday girl a happy birthday." Then all of a sudden the window started busting. What? And then now everybody's okay. Reasonably, everybody got scared, and I thought they said that nobody wanted to leave, so everybody just waited until the hoodlums left. But now all of a sudden it's just a couple of them left. I don't understand.
Thankfully, those people were staying the night, so Kate and I were able to leave around 2 a.m. We had all
Okay.
debated calling the cops, but considering the underage drinking going on, no one really wanted to. Plus, Susan was worried about her parents finding out about the party and had decided she was just going to lie about how the windows had been broken. Thankfully, the group of people, potential gangsters, did not return.
Shit,
While that
potential
night had been
gangsters.
scary, all I can really focus on was the fact that this took place at a cabin in the middle of the woods, at a party thrown by Catholic schoolgirls.
At least call them that. At least call them that. You know what I'm saying? Gangsters, potential gangsters. At least call them that. Don't call them no hoodlums. Why you assuming things? Why you assuming they from the hood? And I don't mean they from the hood because they look like that. Like I said, it's some people that's not from the hood that portray themselves that look like that act like that too. I don't know. That girl that was telling us the story was, I don't know. She a little biased, a little, you know what I'm saying? A little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I can say that word on YouTube. I probably gotta blank that out, but that was the horror stories. That last one was kind of trash. I ain't understand what happened at all. To be honest, I ain't know what was going on. Regardless, we back on the reactions, baby. I know I haven't posted a reaction in a minute, except for that last one about a week ago. I meant like a scary story. I haven't did that in a while, but so